from a music group called the Bee Gees. The trio's music helped define the disco era of the 70s. They're one of the biggest acts in the world, selling an incredible 220 million albums. With me now is the founding member of the Bee Gees, launching his US solo tour, Mythology, the tour live in May. Legendary Barry Gibbs with me in the chair. Barry, it's so good to see you.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you.
I've thought a lot about you recently because, apart from being one of the all-time great British music stars, a lot of people celebrating the Beatles this week with the 50th anniversary and everything.
Yes.
But you guys did something that even the Beatles ever did. I don't even know this, but the Bee Gees are the only group in music history to write, produce and record 6 straight #1 hits. Not even the Beatles did that.
Well, I'm proud of that. I don't know how we did it. I think Robert Stigwood is probably the person I would point at and say he did that, because Robert was a genius and he opened doors for us that would never have been opened otherwise. So, you're never on your own. It takes a whole bunch of people to make something like that happen. Just feel really lucky.
The strange thing, talking to you now, is that I met you with your brothers over the years at various events and things, and we had a lot of fun stuff. But it feels strange to me to be seeing you on your own. It must feel 100 times stranger for you to be going out on tour without any of your brothers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did mope around for a few months, good few months, and the whole family did. Nobody really knew how to deal with it all because it's the loss of 3 brothers.
And you were the oldest brother?
Yes,
so
I was the eldest brother.
It seems, doesn't it? It seems strange that, that your mum and you have out-survived the 3 younger boys.
And my older sister, Leslie, who lives in Australia, and I think the last count, 8 children. So she's keeping it all going in her way, you know.
When you achieve the kind of stratospheric superstardom that you guys did in the 70s, the absolute sort of personification of the disco era in many ways, and of course Saturday Night Fever and so on, with it came huge fame, huge money, all the trappings and glory and so on. You're hinting, I guess, from your previous comments that it's not all it's cracked up to be. The fame and the money and the glory that you aspire to.
Well, I suppose it is and it isn't, because there's all the good stuff, and then there's the fact that fame is something that takes hold of you.
Tell me about your brothers. Let's start with Andy, because you lost him when he was 30 years old. I guess he'll always be, in your head, a 30-year-old young man, right?
Yes. Andy was mostly like me. Morris and Robin were not alike, but alike in also many ways. Andy and I were the 2 guys that played tennis. Morris and Robin never really did. It just didn't really interest them. But Andy was sort of almost like my twin brother. But he was not as lanky as me. I was very skinny and lanky.
And
he was strong.
When he died, and it was you and the twins. Yeah. Did you feel slightly disconnected? Is that inevitable when 2 of your brothers are twins?
I think we became disconnected about 12 years ago. And then when we lost Mo, Robin and I gravitated back towards each other a little bit. And it's always been twins and the older brother, so there was a real difference. I think they always talk to each other more than they talk to me, so that's twins.
What causes that kind of rift between siblings who've been so close? Is it simply being together too much? Is it the pressures, outside forces of fame and so on?
I guess it's the difference between being in a group and being brothers in a group. I didn't know really how to divide that up. We were competitive. We were always trying to thrust ourselves out front, you know. Robin was really competitive with me, and Morris was the middle guy. Morris was the guy that would mediate, you know. Robin and I were the ones that would clash, and he had a beautiful voice, and I'm always going to miss that, because there was nothing more fun than harmonizing.
I heard that when he was dying, and I was due to interview Robin actually on this show, and I was so sorry not to do that. But I heard that you wrote a song for him. You actually went and sang it for him.
Yeah, I did, and I will get down to recording, because I've got my studio refitted, and I'm going to make records with my kids, with Stephen and Ashley, and the song is called "The End of the Rainbow," and it's sort of it's like a lot of songs that I have. It's sort of like bits of paper around the house. You know, I have to go look for songs. Well, there's one in a drawer. You know. There's another one called "A Million Years," which I have somebody in mind, but I haven't sent it yet. But songs keep coming.
But that must have been for you a very special moment to write a song and to sing it to Robin, knowing you were losing him, and knowing you were losing your last brother.
Yeah.
Of 3 brothers.
Yeah. It's a very strange experience to know that you have no brothers now. That's unusual. That's weird. I mean, I have a hard time dealing with it. But my whole family has a hard time dealing with it. So I'm coming to terms with it slowly. But I really miss them.
I bet you do. Yeah.
And what I miss more than anything else is how much we used to laugh, because we were the Goons, you know. And anyone who hasn't heard of the Goons should check them out, because that was our way of life.
No, you've had one of the longest, most successful marriages.
Right.
And 44 years, I think you've been married.
We met on the set of Top of the Pops when Massachusetts was #1, and then we had a cup of tea in the canteen at the BBC, and then we had a cuddle in the Doctor Who's phone booth, and time stood still.
How have you managed that? Because show business is so littered with broken marriages. Yeah. How have you managed to sustain such a lasting love, do you think?
Because I think we've just always been in love. That's the truth of it. We never really saw other people. Once it happened, that was it.
Got a big movie airing tomorrow night on CNN about the 60s invasion, focusing on the Beatles, obviously.
Yes.
But a lot of nostalgia about that period. Did you and the Beatles hang out much or not?
Not really. I think, I think Morris did, because Morris was married to Lulu at that period in time, and they used to go to a lot of Beatles things. And but there was a place called the Speakeasy, which was underground, where everybody went, and you'd have the Beatles and the Stones and the Who in one room, eating. And Otis Redding could be on stage.
You're an amazing number of people that you've written hit songs for. Forget the Bee Gees hits. Janis Joplin, Barry Manilow, Olivia Newton-John, Elvis Presley, Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, Nina Simone, Barbra Streisand, Tina Turner. Produced albums for Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, Barbra Streisand again, and Dionne Warwick. Amazing portfolio of stuff that you've churned out over the years.
It is to me too, because I never know what's going to happen tomorrow, and if somebody wants to... First of all, Janis Joplin, we didn't work with. She just took to love somebody and recorded it. So people do that.
What advice would you have for Justin Bieber? A lot of people talking about him at the moment. You're in a great position to judge because you had to come through all this teenage superstar.
Well, what I see with Justin Bieber is sort of what I see with Andy.
Your brother Andy.
Yeah. You're heading for a brick wall. You're heading for a brick wall, and that's a shame because this is a great talent. This kid's got great gifts. Time to grow up and be what all these young girls love you. Be a good example.
Do you need people around you telling you that? Is that part of the problem?
Yes, and you have a lot of people around you that just want to have a party, and live off what it is that you're getting attention for. And I think that's the problem. It's always the problem. So buying wild animals is one of the first signs. Like Andy had a baby lion, Justin had a monkey.
Right.
And I go, okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You see the signs.
Nothing matters. I can do what I want. It's a shame, and I think it's more of a shame for his parents because they're probably really tugged one way or the other. They love their child, but they can't do much about what's going on. Yeah, I feel for it. I feel for the whole situation.
Yeah, I feel for him. I've got 3 kids
time
around his age, and it's I can only imagine how hard it is if you suddenly give them $100 million and say you're the biggest pop star in the world. I mean, it's going to get to their heads.
But there will be a brick wall if you don't grow up quick. Grow up quick.
Good. What would you like the Bee Gees to stand for, to be remembered for, do you think?
Songwriting. Beyond anything else, and harmonies, There was
just
no
writing great songs that everyone could enjoy.
Yeah. Not every song we loved ourselves, but we knew when we had a great one. And like Islands in the Stream, we just sort of knew. And Morris would say, well, why don't we record it?
I sang that on this very show with Kenny Rogers.
Wow.
I was playing the Dolly Parton role.
Well, Kenny said to me, I still don't know what that song's about.
We certainly didn't when I sang it.
So you sang it.
I was the Dolly role, and Kenny sang his role. It was fair to say I murdered your best music.
Oh, I doubt that. But you weren't in costume.
I was not in costume, no. Barry, I could talk to you all night. It's been fabulous talking to you. I'm a huge, unabashed fan of you and your brothers, and
thank you,
I wish you all the best of success with Mythology, the tour live. Tickets go on sale January 31st on livenation.com. Best of luck with that.
Thank you, Piers.
It's been so good to see you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Great Barry Gibb. We'll be right back.